Our expert in elder law, Gary Price, is back with us to discuss an important topic, which is in-home services and how that relates to Medicaid. It's good to see you.
Good to be here.
We were just talking, every time he comes, it's raining.
That is true. That's very true.
Well, that's all right. We're inside here.
I hope to change that one of these days.
But one of these days, when you come on a sunny day, we will remark about it. Well, let's talk about what are the in-home services we're talking about and what will Medicaid cover?
Yeah, well, just to begin with, you know, we normally when we talk about Medicaid, we're talking about long-term care services. In fact, that's the way Medicaid used to be. You didn't qualify for Medicaid unless you were in an institution which provided those services. So the law is evolving, and Medicaid is evolving to now include in-home services. And so some of those services would include, you know, help with food, help with shopping, help with taking medications, cleaning, help managing your affairs. Walking the dog.
That you cannot do for yourself anymore.
That's right. And so, you know what I hear, I often say this to you, what I hear often from my clients, and we've talked about a number of different things, but this is one of the things. The spouse will say, I promised my husband, or the kids would say, I promised my parent that I would keep them home as long as possible, and I would avoid putting them into a long-term care facility as long as possible. Well, what we're talking about today is a way, hopefully, to help fulfill that promise. Because you can, now, if you need 24/7 care, that's not what we're talking about today with in-home services. But there are a lot of people out there that do need assistance, but they're not necessarily at the point where they need 24/7.
Right, well, they can still be in their home, but there are things they no longer can do.
So this is called if people want to ask about it, it's called a Medicaid waiver. And the Medicaid waiver has to do with providing in-home services for the individual. And how it works is you have a case manager, so there's an extra step. You still have to go through the Medicaid application process like we talk about.
Yes.
But the additional step is you have a case manager. And the case manager will interview the individual, interview the family, and determine what of the services available, what this particular individual needs. And then once we know the services needed and we get those approved by the state, then we have a plan of care for that individual. And once we have that plan of care, they can exercise and receive those services, but not until they are Medicaid eligible. And for Medicaid eligibility, it's like what we talk about. There's still the same restrictions as far as your income, as far as your resources, and so we're going through that process of Medicaid eligibility, but we're doing it for receiving the in-home services under the Medicaid waiver.
Well, the question that comes to my mind as I'm listening to you is, does a doctor come into play here? Does a doctor have to sign off on these, your immobility, your need for taking medication? I mean, how does that come into play, or does it?
Well, medical records are certainly part of the process with the caseworker, certainly.
So they just need to know that, because, I mean, it seems like there's a lot of gray area here. There
is, and that's especially true for someone younger, like, say, under the age of 62 or 65. The physician's records will be certainly relied upon in that situation, whereas with an elderly person, that's maybe not the case quite so much. But the medical records are certainly a factor.
Do you talk about this in your book, or do we need to go to a website to learn more?
Chapter 6.
Chapter 6. He's got a little marker in there today for Chapter 6.
Well, I was going to read you a little bit on it, then I just remembered I put my glasses away for this interview. So.
Well, you can turn to Chapter 6 in Gary's book, which you can get by calling his office. Please do that. What is your number, Gary?
Thank you. Yes, the number is 812-479-8721. Give us a call. We'll send you a copy of this book, no charge.
At no charge. Thanks. Always good to see you.
Good to see you.
We'll be back with more Local Lifestyles right after this.
This portion of Lifestyles is sponsored by Gary Price, elder law attorney.